All right, so we are live with our second division, and as you can see from the title, I'm not going to announce it yet, Andy. I don't know if you're looking at the title. Don't look yet. Don't spoil it.
I'm
Uh,
not. I'm not.
okay, so we're doing our Madden 21 team reveal with our second division. So we did the NFC North on Tuesday, and we've got our second division up. So we've got one of our owners in this division joining us. Andy, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to have you.
And well, I'm glad to have you.
Glad to have
I
you.
know. Like I said, been drinking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then of course we've got Brian and Cooley joining as well. How's it going, guys?
What's
It's going. Excited to do another division tonight.
Go.
All right, so let's get to it. So Brian, do you want to go ahead and announce
Yeah,
Andy's team?
yeah. So we'll announce the team, and you'll know right away that we are what division we're doing. Andy's getting his second choice. Unfortunately, his first choice was the Green Bay Packers, who went last night. Andy's going to be getting the Denver Broncos.
Let's go.
So we're doing the AFC West tonight, and we got the Denver Broncos for Andy. Vaughn, why don't we do a little bit of a rundown on some of their top players?
Absolutely. So the Broncos are an interesting team. Not a great year last year in real life, but pretty high expectations with this team. So just looking at their roster right now, you've got Von Miller at 97 overall. Had a down year in real life last year, but obviously still a really effective player. Justin Simmons, who had a breakout year last year, signed his franchise tag deal in the offseason. And living in Denver, I know a lot about the Broncos as much as I hate them, but um, again, a more of a defense-heavy team. Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson probably make the best safety tandem in the league. 90 and 87 overall. Philip Lindsay at 85 and Melvin Gordon at 84 is a really, really good 1-2 punch in the backfield. And then AJ Bouye at 84, Bryce Callahan at 80 for corners. You've got Cortland Sutton at 84 overall. Let me find Jerry Jeudy at 75. That was their first round pick. And then they took KJ Hamler with their second round pick, another wide receiver. So um, I'm really intrigued by Andy getting this team. Knowing I've played Andy a lot. We used to be preseason opponents every season for like multiple cycles when he was Kansas City and I was Carolina. So we've played each other a lot, and I think this team's going to fit him really well. Cooley, why don't you talk about whatever you're going to talk about, if you're going to talk about anything at all?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to talk about Andy and his coaching abilities. Now Andy's been in this league, most of the years I've been in, I believe, and always has a competitive team. Last cycle he was Cincinnati, so he had a little, that definitely took a little. They were not the best team in Madden 20. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. He had an overall record of 37, 73, and 2.
Ooh.
He had one winning season and 0 playoff appearances. But it was a tough division, especially with the Browns being the Madden darling last um, cycle, and then the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, and then always the Steelers. So that's a tough division, and it'll be a tough division for whoever gets the Bengals this time. Even if they have Joe Burrow, it's going to be a climb. And Andy may talk about it, but we talked a little earlier, and he was talking about how he probably didn't draft as well as he wanted, having those type seasons. But he had a lot of seven. I think the last season he went 7-9, and he had a lot of seasons where he was not picking in the top, 5 or 8. He was picking near the middle of the pack. He was just missing the playoffs, but and that's a tough place to kind of get out of. So um, I'm excited to see Andy in this division. It should be fun with these other guys that we're going to announce.
All right, so
That's it.
Andy, why don't you tell us your thoughts on the Denver Broncos?
One, sweet jerseys. So that's
Oh,
numero uno.
gross.
The orange, the blue, I'm all about that. They've got an old school one as well. They've got an all white one that I enjoy as well. So that was kind of when you play in these cycles that we have, you kind of have to find something that I don't know, makes you come back a little bit, not
Yeah.
just playing in it, but also, the team making, but also something that makes you want to like, get interested in. And like sometimes you talk to, like I talk to Bloop a lot, and he's always the Houston Texans, and he has to wear blue and red every single day, and it's like I can see how that gets a little annoying for him. So jerseys number 1, 2. I've always loved Mile High. Now I'm a Chiefs fan, so like this kind of hurts just a little bit that I picked this team, but you cannot go wrong with this offense. Like Drew Lock, Sutton, Jerry Judy, KJ Hamler. You guys forgot to mention the biggest X factor, which is Noah Fant as the
Yeah.
tight end.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
I
I
purposely
have to have a
left that
tight
out.
end.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
purposely left that out because I know how much you use the tight end and how important
oh,
that
I
position
am
is.
and so and like last Tuesday, Captain got Detroit, and he didn't say one word about T.J. Hawkinson, which he used a tight end with Pittsburgh more than any other guy against me. I have to have a tight end. Everybody knows that. So Noah Fant is huge for me. Offensive line, probably gonna need some work, but having Drew Lock, I know I've got like 3 years left with him. He'll get a 5th year as
Yeah.
well, right? So I don't have to really draft a
No,
quarterback, which was kind of what screwed me with
he was a
Cincinnati.
second round pick, so you won't have the 5th year.
Okay, so I'll only get 4. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. But like I had to draft a quarterback to replace Dalton last cycle, which I didn't pick the right one. The guy that I wanted went ahead of him. But so having Drew Lock, who I'm a big fan of, he grew up around where I live. I've watched him play high school. I've watched him play in college. So that kind of has a little bit of connection as well. And then the other reason why I picked Denver and they were number 2 was I kind of took the jump route, which was have an unbelievable premier defensive lineman. Like he had Khalil Mack at the start of last cycle, and that helped him a lot. So having Von Miller is going to be freaking huge for
Well,
me from the get go.
and then add in Bradley Chubb, and they signed Jarrell Casey in the offseason, so
Exactly.
that defensive line
Right.
is stacked.
I'm not. I mean, I don't know a lot about Justin Simmons. I know he's pretty good, but like I'm a user safety guy,
Yeah.
so that's kind of who I'll be controlling as much. But that offense, dude, Philip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon. Like I'm not a huge Gordon fan, but Philip Lindsay's nice. Those wide receivers, like KJ Hamler. I mean, I know he's got normal dev, but he's fast. Like speed's always a thing with Madden. And like I said, the jerseys and all this stuff, like I'm good to go. So
Yeah.
I'm super pumped right now to have this team. I was nervous because B Spring was like really secretive about this, and I tried really hard to crack the code, but he wouldn't let me crack it. So I'm super pumped to get number 2. Green Bay was tough to let go Tuesday night, but Denver's gonna be. I'm gonna be nice with Denver. I really believe that.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised it took you so long to mention Gordon and Lindsey because um, when you've had the most success, it's been because you ran the ball a little bit, ran the ball a lot, and then just kept on running the ball even more. Um, so what about this offense? Do you think you're going to be changing around kind of your style of offense to fit all those passing weapons? Like you got 3 wide receivers and a tight end to spread the ball around. So do you see yourself going a little bit more heavy on the passing game this year?
Yes, and here's why. Because Madden 20 like killed my confidence. Like just absolutely killed my confidence. I mean, Cooley put my record out there, and I don't know if it was just how the game played or what was meta and what wasn't, or what worked and what wasn't. And me being stubborn as I am, I'm like, no, I've got to run my offense that I run, and it just didn't work. But I mean, you know me, I can't not run the ball. Like I have to put the once the ball gets in the running back's hands and I get to use her that's what I want to do. But with having these, yes, the answer is yes, because Drew Lock has throwing power. His throwing power is higher than a lot of other quarterbacks probably in the league. He's probably above average.
He's
And then
88
having
88 in
yeah,
the game.
so
I don't know what average is anymore with Madden since they've changed the ratings,
Yeah.
but
yeah, I think he's upper half of
yeah,
throwing
he
power,
should be.
which is yeah. And having Sutton, who's a big receiver, Jerry Judy, big receiver, and KJ Hamlin, who's a slot guy, which I don't know if he'll play the slot. Judy might play the slot,
Yeah.
but and then Fant, I'm gonna throw the ball more.
Yeah.
And not that I, it's not that I don't want to run the ball. I just feel like these Maddens are getting more and more to the point where they want people to pass, and passing is what you need to do. So that's where I kind of picked a team that I can throw the ball with more from the get go. And I might cycle into a team that runs the ball a lot, but I'm gonna chuck it all over
Well,
the park.
and don't forget, you also got Jake Butt and Jeff Hireman, two other pass catching tight ends. So even if you come out and two tight end personnel, there's still that ability to sling it around a little bit.
I think you're going to see a lot of 31,
Yeah.
like a lot of
Oh, I'm
31.
sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Like that's and like the option which I ran pretty much that last season with Cincinnati because I had McSorley, but like you're not going to see a lot of option. You're going to see me put the ball in the air a lot with Drew Lock. I need to win MVPs with him. I need to get progression up. I need to jack him up major.
You talked a little bit about the offensive line. The offensive line isn't terrible. Obviously, you've got Garrett Bowles, who's awful, but I doubt he has the holding penalty issues in the game that he does in real life. But you've also got Dalton Reisner, Graham Glasnow, who they signed in free agency on the interior, and Jawan James, who's opting out in real life, but in the game he's going to be playing on the right side. So you've got some good building blocks for an offensive line. Maybe if you can swing a trade or get a left tackle, after the first season, it could be a really quick buildup of the front five.
Well, and like B Spring said, like I've been a run offense heavy guy, so the thing that I had to focus on a lot with drafting and free agency is offensive line. So I really trust myself with being able to develop that. Like I was just really really bad at drafting like skill players and like defensive players. So hopefully that just Denver's got it, which they pretty much do. Like you said, Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons, the corners aren't bad, right? Obviously, we talked a lot about my skill position, so I'm pretty much set. Just like you said, build that offensive line and just kind of create depth.
So are you expecting to compete first season for the division? Obviously, with Kansas City in that division, and as loaded as they are, do you expect to be able to compete?
Yes, and I'll say if Ducks can almost go to a Super Bowl and win it for year one last year, then I think I can.
Well,
So
I
no,
mean,
yeah, I
You're
definitely,
not wrong.
I definitely think this team is either not maybe the first year, or at least the next year. It's going to be obviously like B Spring said, like what my offense looks like, and if I can put up points, because I think I've always been a pretty good defensive player.
Yeah.
But I think, and of course KC is going to be really really rated high, and San Diego or Los Angeles will be rated pretty high as well.
Yeah.
But I think Denver is set up not just for maybe the second year, but longevity. I think that team is the team that a lot of people should have put on their top three when it comes to a whole cycle.
All right.
well,
Okay.
all I know is I quit listening when Andy said Drew Lock and MVP in the same sentence.
Hey, you can always wish.
Dude, put the Cowboys on my schedule right now. Like, let's just do this.
Oh, please do it.
Please give me this.
All right. Well, I think we've covered the Broncos well. Andy, hang on with us because we'll come back and swing back around and talk about the division as a whole later in the show. So if you can hang on, if not, if you need to go, that's fine as well. But I think we're gonna move on to our second team, if I'm right, Brian.